How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the Mercedes 500e from a first-person point of view. Under the hood is a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 making 325 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 happens in 5.5 seconds, and it goes on to a top speed of 156 miles an hour. The only transmission available is a 4-speed automatic. Built to compete against the BMW M5, 10,000 of these 500es were made. Now, while the looks are subtle, part of the reason why this car is so special is that it was actually developed and constructed in conjunction with Porsche. That's right, Porsche actually built this Mercedes sedan, making it really the first four-door Porsche of all time. Now, you can tell it's got a little bit wider flared fenders, and that's part of the reason why Porsche had to build it in its factory instead of Mercedes, because it wouldn't fit down the line of the standard E-Class. It was actually built in the same factory that the Porsche 959 was built in. The 500e has some pretty funky exterior features. For one, it has windshield wipers for the headlights. But what's crazier is the passenger side mirror is actually a different size and shape as the driver's side mirror. It's a lot more square, whereas the driver's side is rectangular. They did this to give you a better visibility closer up on the passenger side compared to the driver's side. Now, weighing in at 3,900 pounds, it is pretty heavy, so it has the brakes off of the 500 SL. I love these monoblock wheels. Let's go ahead and check out the interior. The interior is nice and luxurious, albeit very basic. We've got plenty of leather and wood. Interestingly, the Alcantara headliner is a different color than anything else in the interior. The steering wheel is also huge for a sports car, which is kind of funny. I do love the analog instrument cluster. 4-speed automatic, not my favorite, but it is what it is. Now, interestingly, we've got some strange controls. This right here is a button you press when you put chains on your car in the snow. I've never seen a dedicated chains button before on a vehicle. We've also got a button here that tilts the headrest back, so you've got a better view behind you. And then this button here puts down the rear sunshade. Yes, we have an automatic rear sunshade in a car from the early 90s. That's pretty awesome. But the weirdest feature is this. We've got a manual control for the left mirror, but then on the right side, we've got an automatic control. I don't know why they didn't just put automatic controls for both sides. Well, whatever. Let's take it out for a drive and see what it's like. All right, guys, behind the wheel of the 500e, initial impressions, it is very, very smooth. For a sporty car, it rides unbelievably well over bumps. It also feels like a tank, like it's so well built. Everything feels beefy, from the steering to the suspension, just the way it rides over the road. It just feels higher quality and more solid than cars of today. Now, I will say the steering wheel does not fit in your hands like any sort of sports car that you'd expect. It feels more like it should be in an S-Class. This with a better steering wheel would definitely be my preference. It's also really nice shifting the 4-speed auto into gear. The actual actuation of the gear lever is fantastic. Now, it's definitely more of a straight line cruiser than a handling beast. The suspension is pretty loose in the corners, and it has a decent amount of body roll. It also just feels like it wants to blast down the Autobahn at 150 miles an hour, not go through tight, twisty roads. So compared to cars like a modern E63 or a modern BMW M5, this is less of a do everything really well car and more of a luxury car that's really fast. Now, by modern standards, it's not all that fast, but if you floor it, it definitely has some good pickup to it, and that V8 sounds fantastic. I imagine in the early 1990s when this car came out, this probably felt like an absolute rocket ship. But man, for cruising around, we're in Rhode Island right now. Special thanks to the Audrain Collection and the Audrain Concours for making this video possible. I just spent the week with them, went to their Concours. It was an amazing event. We also did the Tour d'Elegance, where a bunch of these classic cars went out for a several-hour rally, which was awesome. But for cruising around in Rhode Island, like where we are now, it's such a perfect car. It's so isolated in here.
It's so nice and quiet, it's comfortable, it's easy to drive, the steering is nice and light, anyone could drive this car. The visibility is great, I love the automatic sunshades. It's got cool technology for a car of this era. It's perfect for that. But if you're looking for something that's gonna be a canyon carver or a track toy, definitely look somewhere else. Knowing that this is kind of a pre-AMG, this is basically what then became AMG cars, I expected it to be a little bit more nimble and lively around the corners, but it's still awesome in a different way. The gearbox takes so long to kick down, it's kind of hilarious. If you're not going the right speed and you floor it, it basically doesn't even downshift, it just kind of lugs. But if you kick down all the way at the right speed, it does jerk you back pretty hard. What a spectacular day on the ocean side. Unfortunately stuck behind this Toyota, but hopefully it'll free up in a little bit. But honestly, I don't even mind. This doesn't feel like a car that I need to go really fast in. It's just nice to be in. Turning radius is quite nice. It's really easy to figure out the outer dimensions of the car to place it on the road. All right, some freedom. See, it didn't kick down all the way there, but now we're getting some speed. Oh, it's a little dicey at higher speeds. Oh, it doesn't have the most confidence around turns, that's for sure. But man, in a straight line, it's an absolute German missile. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. These things are probably going to go up in value forever. There's a limited number of them, especially in the United States, and the fact that it was made in conjunction with Porsche is really, really special. And I actually didn't realize that until relatively recently, that Porsche had a lot to do with this car. Basically made this car possible. Likely wouldn't have been the case without Porsche's help. And it definitely feels like it has that Porsche quality, the tightness, and just that level of luxury and expertise that only Porsche and Mercedes and other German brands are capable of. All right, one last pull. It doesn't really love to slow down. All right, guys, see you next video.